When you hear of a car facelift, yeah, usually it's just some visual changes in the front, headlamps and so on, and that's it basically. But here with the new Opel Astra facelift or the product update, and the same with the Vauxhall Astra for our friends in the UK, it's the other way around. So some minor changes visually, but even more as for technology, engines and so on, little tweaks and also in the interior. It will be very interesting, I can promise you. Everything here on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas in exterior, interior and the driving experience with those new engines, lower in its CO2 output. Is it true? We'll find out together in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! We always have a lot of first-time viewers. If you're one of those, then please subscribe here and stick with us. And of course, a warm welcome and hello also to our long-term subscribers. So here, the Opel Astra Facelift or Vauxhall Astra in the UK. You can see they didn't change too much in the front. It looks a little bit more modern with this dot structure in the grille right there. And those Opel wings here, they lead over to the headlamp unit. This one here, otherwise it would be in chrome, then actually this effect is even stronger, but here this one is a black pack, so it's in shiny black right there. Again, it looks a little bit more menacing as far as it goes, but again I think the effect that it leaps over right there is better when it's still in the normal chrome. Then headlamps start with halogen, then LED optional with light saving function as well, energy saving function, and this one here is the matrix LED light. The LED daytime running lights, and the matrix LED then also has a special high beam function that it can, save out some of the spots of the light that you don't blind anyone, but still have a better view. And one exciting task of this facelift was also increasing the wind efficiency and therefore also bringing down the consumption. So what they did is make the whole front area more efficient. For example, also with adaptive air intakes in the top part and lower part. You cannot see it at the moment, but they can actually shut off that they are more efficient then and don't take so much air in. And they also work on a new underfloor cover, again, to improve the efficiency and the CD values. CW Wert would be in German. It's actually at 0.26 for the hatch here and 0.255, even better for the estate, for the sports tour, which is also available. And those are very impressive figures. And they really help to save some fuel in the long run. 4.37 m, 14'3" or 172 inches is the length of the Opel Astra here as hatch. And there's also a little bit longer sports tourer available if you prefer the estate version. Then he comes here with 18-inch wheels today, beautiful, but they also start at 15-inch seals, 16-inch aluminum, 17, and then the 18-1 we have right here. What's also interesting design-wise, here dark blue today, not quite Thomas blue, it would be a little bit brighter. Here by this black panel they create an effect of a flying roof, so to say, if you just look at the blue color, interesting. And again the black pack here with the shiny frames, shiny black frames around. There's also a GS line available which would somewhat look similar but doesn't have the shiny effects. So a little bit confusing as for that. GS line would also come directly with a sports suspension, but you can also get the new sports suspension here for the non-GS line we have today. So this one is not a GS line, but it has this shiny black pack and an updated normal suspension. So they worked on the suspension settings there, and also a new sporty setting for suspension. They have almost the same hardware. The rear axle has a special link then in the sports version. And we'll test it today and see how it plays out as for comfort and for sportiness both. Because so far, if you compare it to other competitors in the segment, it was a very good car, but suspension was not, let's say, top-notch. Did it change now from the facelift? We will soon experience that. In the rear, the Astra still has a contemporary look, so they didn't change anything here. Well, one thing, soon going to tell you. Here, look at those tail lamps with a nice LED signature there too. And first of all, no fake exhaust tips. There are no exhaust tips visible, it's underneath. But then they also didn't go for any fake exhaust effort. I think good decision by designers. Point one. And second one, Just says Astra here, and that's it. Anything else? No indication for the trim, no indication for the engine. And I think that's a good decision to keep the design clear in the rear. So, for me, 2 thumbs up basically, like this. What's your take on that? Engines, well, one of the biggest changes here with this vehicle, because they are all new indeed. You get new 3-cylinder turbo petrol engines, 1.2 with 110, 130 or 145 horsepower. And then there's a new 1.4 liter 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine, also with 145 horsepower. The one you can see here made it with a 7-speed CVT automatic gearbox. Interesting. First time we see that here in the Opel. This one was developed in the US. The 1.2 liter turbo petrol engine with the manual gearbox was developed in Germany. And they really have the aim to bring it all down below 100 grams of CO2 per kilometer. That was the goal actually, and they actually achieved it for almost all of the engines, so pretty impressive as for that. And then there's also a new diesel engine, 1.5 liter, that's in the 4-cylinder, either with 105 or 122 horsepower. And the latter one made it optional to a 9-speed automatic gearbox, then a converter gearbox, because they say they want a little bit more span on that one for Autobahn kilometers to have a very high gear. Whereas this one here, the turbo petrol engine with the CVT, say, that one would be the best combination, so they really picked that one intentionally. Really keen on that, how that one plays out. We experience that very soon. And of course, those new engines are also lighter than before, also aluminum structure, so it brings down the weight of the car even more. Now to the car key and the interior. Yeah, it's very close, and this way you open the vehicle, but you also have a keyless entry right here with this very knob to close or open the car. Then here we go, door closing sound. Yeah, I think we heard that one better, so not the most sophisticated one. But then here, soft touch at the inside of the doors, not super soft, but also not hard pack at all. Then this one here is also like a little bit soft. Standard window lever, so to say. But then a lot of space at the inside of the doors. That works very well. And the Opel entry badge. That looks pretty classy. Definitely. Then also soft touch dashboard right here. Steering wheel, contour stitches on the inside. Here the rubber pad here for the cruise control. This is a little bit cheaply executed, but other than that, the build quality is pretty high. So satisfied with that overall. Also the look of the steering wheel. Then those new Alcantara seats. So you get a choice of fabric seats. You get fabric leatherette mix, for example. Then you also have those special comfort seats they offer. Those are one of those. And have here the mix of Alcantara and the inside and leatherette on the outside. So also nice choice they offer for the seating. And they're indeed pretty comfortable, I can already tell you. The lower area can be slid forward a little bit. You can also get aluminum pedals, told you earlier, and let me get inside. Standard compact hatch, of course, but those sport seats, they offer you enough room. So we have so far a decent, comfortable ride here. Also as taller people, 1m86 or 6'1", enough headroom. Of course, also a panoramic roof available. And the steering wheel can be adjusted like this, manually. So, pretty flexible as for the control, as for that. So, nothing to complain here. Pretty good seating position, especially with those sport seats. They are a little bit stiffer than the standard seats. You have to be aware of that. And then you can put the upper area a little bit higher, but I'm not sure what the sense of that. That rather makes it more uncomfortable. And then you can pump it up here in the manual. And then there's this turning knob to be fine-tuning how the backrest should be aligned. But so far, makes a good impression, definitely. Now to the interior overview. The whole design is somewhat conservative, yes, but it's also very easy to learn. That's the advantage then. Again, soft touch here at the top of the dashboard. Then there are a lot of piano lacquers being used. Not my favorite, definitely. Then this design element in the lower part. The new 8-inch screen. So the software is all new. Soon more details to that. Oh, that was the time as Tiesto was still doing proper music and not, this marketing charts BS as today. So, and Bose sound system. This one is new and has decent sound. Not the greatest one. This one is the most optional sound system, so to say. So it's not a bad sound, not super excellent, but quite nice. And as we know from the Bose sound systems, although you have not turned up the bass, it is actually a little bit bass heavy overall from the whole setup, definitely. So again, more details to that screen soon, because it's very interesting, I can promise you. Still a normal knob, also with some clicking sound, but it could sound a little bit more elaborate. Then in the lower area, let me turn on the engine for that. So here we go with the climate unit. I still like to have a separate climate unit to be able to control it while driving, and also easy to increase the vent strength and so on. Yes, there are a lot of buttons left, but I really like them. What about you? Are you a 22 degrees Celsius AC automatic user and never do anything? Or are you also, like me, constantly changing around AC on, AC off, vents here, vents there, warmer, colder? Yeah, sorry, I just do that quite a lot of times when I drive the car. Heated steering wheel also available, as well as a heated windscreen is available too. Then this one is the automatic shifting lever of the CVT here in the lower part. Pull it just to the rear. You can also pull it to the left, then when you're going down for a longer time, to have simulated lower gears. But also more about gear simulation later on in this review. This will be very interesting, I can promise you. And further on lower, you have an electric parking brake next to a 12-volt power supply. And we have a non-adaptive cup holder. And the rest we'll do from another camera shot then very soon. We pan up here again. So, and then we have the steering wheel, right side for the volume. Then you can control something of the digital instruments, and left side for the cruise control. And then in those digital instruments, those are also the top one. Base one would be analog, but then those ones here are digital. Again, start the engine once more. So you can see here the left and the right side is analog. And then we have those digital ones then in the middle right there. 8-inch and pretty clear to read. You have the digital speedometer, but also can get some consumption infos in there, for example. Or then here change to, for example, for GPS information. Then you have it right there in the middle, at least some directions. So we've seen a lot of nice things in the interior, but one thing there's to criticize here, those cubby holes here in the front. This is left next to the steering wheel without any dampering. Yeah, of course, I mean, you always have to consider, this is an affordable car still. So other premium cars, do you want to pay 10,000 euros more to have this one dampened? So you always have to, keep it in perspective. And the same goes for the main glove box here. There's reasonable space inside, but again, this, undampened effect. But again, it's something you can definitely live with. Then in this lower middle console, what's interesting here again, this cup holder, and then this one here is a new inductive charging pad. So there's, this rubber pad, and they use that the phone is really like squished to the side, because the inductive charging pad is like here. It's not where lay something down for space reasons. It's against this wall, so it's pushed against the wall, and then indeed charging. That does work. Maybe for your key or so, but you can also close this whole area if you like it a little bit cleaner. That would be also possible. Then the armrest, it's quite well attached. And then some space underneath, and then you squeeze your phone in there if you want the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connection, because there are the 2 USB ports. We have different cables at the moment, then you put your phone in there, but you see it still fits. And now details to the new software in this top 8-inch screen, and I really like it very much. Finally, Opel managed to do something very good here as for the software. So far it was a little bit hard to use, but here first of all, Apple CarPlay Android Auto available with the cable connection. Then you just hit this hotkey, then you are right in the Apple CarPlay menu. That's cool. There's no button here to get back to the menu. That's a pity. Usually car manufacturers do offer that, but it's not a problem, because you can now always press this home screen, then you're back right here again. Or hit the Apple CarPlay here, then again with the home screen. And pretty cool, the new GPS. It looks like Android Auto, Android Auto, or just normal on the Android phone, like a Google Maps. You see here it's very responsive, and also you can very well use it also while driving. Of course, you should limit the use while driving, but if you have to do something at some point, yeah, very cool. So enough CPU power and so on, and was guiding us very well. So a massive step forward here as for the infotainment system. This is definitely worth upgrading. course, some settings always available here for you too. But definitely the most important hotkeys here for GPS, the phone connection, and then to the sound. Yeah, that was indeed one classic sound of Tiesto, again, back in those good times. The cutout of the rear door is very interesting here too. And then, well, what about the space here? First of all, styling, and this is of course in hardback. We hardly have any compact vehicles where it's soft touch in the rear. Then you also have, in this case, the Alcantara at the rear seats, and also Isofix at the outside parts of the seats for installing those child seats. And I can actually sit here as a tall adult, no problem. There's also like this gap at the backs of the seats. Again, this is as I would be driving. There's still some decent legroom left, so not too bad, this package. And headroom-wise, also no problem, especially if you have no panoramic roof here. So the seating position here in the rear is also pretty much upright, pretty decent. So yeah, I think you can easily use this car with 4 adults. As for flipping the seats, you can already do that from here, like this. And then there's also this middle part, which is pretty wide. There are no cup holes, but it's like very wide area, so very comfortable to rest your arm on that. Then there's a rather shallow middle tunnel. This is of course a front-wheel drive only vehicle. Then there's seat heating, even optional for the rear, and 2 more USB supplies for the rear passengers. So you open the trunk right here under the logo, and the liter figure is 370 up to 1,210. What does that mean? Let's take a look right here. Interesting that this floor here has a structure in it. And I really like it because that, leads to less sliding luggage overall. So a great idea. It's just a minor detail, but such a great idea. So often we have like all plane covers and they slide all over the place. We also put 2 backpacks in here that you can see that it fits height-wise. Of course, you could also remove this pretty massive top cover. This is like one of the most massive top covers here for the trunk I've seen. But again, you can also remove it if you really need the space. Then let me put those here out. Then you have a clear shot of the normal trunk value. If you want more flexibility, then you can also go for the Sports Tourer for the Estate version, which is the major difference and it has a longer trunk. Here, 78 centimeters in length and a little bit more than a meter in width even. And the height up to the cover here is about 40 centimeters. I've already flipped one of the seats. Then you can also do that just with the middle one. So there's like a 3 split. And here we go. This one is the maximum setup. And to the seat as I would be still driving then as a tall driver. Here we go. That is then 1.55 meters. Again, longer than with the Estate version, but I think overall still well usable what we find here. Underneath the cover, by the way, you can also get a replacement tire. It's not in here at the moment, but there's also the option. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Opel Astra or Vauxhall Astra Facelift. This update, and we drive this new top turbo petrol engine, 1.4 liter turbo, 145 horsepower, and this new 7-speed CVT. So this was very interesting to me because I've never driven a CVT in an Opel car. Very interesting. And we have some Autobahn driving here for you today, and we also have some nice countryside driving, so all the different aspects for you. So there's the ACC also, there is a speed limiter as well. And when you have the ACC now, what does it do differently? It also has this stop and go function, for example, reduce the speed to 0 and then stop and go in traffic, for example. So that's definitely pretty helpful. You can also adjust the distance to the car in front of you. That's also possible. Then you can set the adaptive cruise control here on the left steering wheel. Yeah, this rubber control is not that much high class. One of the few flaws here. And as we said earlier, the quality impression is quite good. Now the distance to the car in front of us is being kept like this. Of course, it's very comfortable to drive with the CVT, especially then in a traffic situation. We don't have to hit clutch again, clutch in, clutch out, and so on. So here at the moment I'm not reducing the speed. That is then done with the ACC. There's a blind spot monitor here flashing in the side mirrors. That's definitely a very helpful function. Of course, this car also features the autonomous emergency brake for the city if you fail to see something at some point or maybe get ill suddenly or whatever. So good that they have all the assistance systems in. No, of course, not all are standard, but blind spot monitor and ACC would be the most important ones to go for optionally. The turning indicator sound is, you will even hear a little bit better when we drive slower. It's a little bit weird, that's maybe also another small downside, but of course, matter of preference. Other than that, it's decently also as for noise insulation here. We had compact sized vehicles which were a little bit better at this speed, about 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. But it's still, definitely decent. And what also helps is this very good wind efficiency I talked about earlier. 0.26 here for the hatch and 0.255 for the estates, the CD value. So pretty impressive what they've done there. And that's of course always good for the noise insulation there. So I'm feeling quite comfortable here also in those seats, then with the Alcantara surface. Also enough support. So definitely when I drove this car in 2015 the last time, was it 2015 or even 2014? I think 2015 must have been when the new generation came out. And this is definitely whoa, and that's traffic. But usually would say, damn it, traffic. But in this case, it's somewhat helpful for us indeed. So when we set the adaptive cruise control, here we are, I did not brake. So let's see. It wasn't really activated, was it? So 25 kilometers is the minimum. Now let's see if that stop and go really works. I hope so. So now of course the CVT is doing a great job, so I don't have to use the clutch at all. That's definitely nice. There are no shifting levers, by the way, here on the steering wheel, because this one here has no gears to shift overall. But when we go out to the countryside, we will experience, or maybe even now when I do the next acceleration and onto the motorway, this one has, so to say, simulated gears. So because there's quite often the customer feedback as for the CVT automatic transmissions, that it's like, I just want to have this gear shifting experience. So what they did here electronically, just by software, they vary the RPMs a little bit. So here, speed is being picked up again. They vary the speed a little bit, or the RPMs a little bit, so you have the impression that the car would be doing some shifting maneuvers. Yeah, that's a little bit weird, isn't it? But we will find out how that feels like and if that's good or bad. Let's see about that. So definitely feeling comfortable here now. Also when you're a little bit slower here. Yeah, turning indicator is a little bit better with this little bit weird sound, but again, that's just a minor detail. When those faster cars are passing us now, we again can experience something of the nice sound insulation. So we feel very well insulated here in this cabin, especially at the lower speeds. And again, it gives me a cozy feeling, together with the good materials that are being used in the front, they are also at the side. So then also looking at this new GPS, which is more responsive, also a little bit easier to control if you want to change something while driving. And again, this is also a vehicle where we can still change the climate unit manual while driving. So this is again something I told you earlier, is an easy car to use. Especially with this new CVT, the car feels smooth and effortless. Just roads and roads and roads, and you don't have to care about anything and so on. And yeah, about this fuel consumption experience, at the end of our test ride we will give you an updated figure, but so far when we are predominantly here on the motorway, we're at about 6 liters in 100 kilometers. That's about 39 mpg US and 47 mpg UK. So definitely acceptable for such a vehicle. You don't reach the paper values, yes. And with the manual gearbox, with the little bit smaller petrol engine, you can score a little bit better probably. The 1.4 here was developed in the US, whereas the 1.2 liter turbo petrol engine was developed by the Opel engineers in Germany. So they are a little bit, more proud of the smaller petrol engine. They could also bring down the CO2 value a little bit more as for that. So here again, RPMs stay very steady. There's no stuttering from the engine or from the gearbox. There were, for example, with the Volkswagen 1.5 TSI, there were those problems. Recently did a software update for that to remove that stuttering, and first customer feedback is there also that it has indeed been removed. So that was also something obviously you could tweak by software. It's very important that we also look out to that. Here, especially in this traffic situation, CVT is doing a great job. So about those continuously variable transmissions, how can you imagine it's like, like a conic cylinder, and then it depends on like the transmission, if like the belt is running over this shorter area or outside on the longer area, and that's how the gear ratio is like. That was like very basic explanation now. That's how the gear ratio is being set, and not by different different wheels if they're bigger or smaller and so on. So definitely a very interesting system and pretty smooth to ride. Especially if you keep it rather slow, this is a very relaxing experience, and the engine is indeed, you hardly hear any vibrations, it's really calm and silent. But what when we accelerate it out? How does it behave then? What's the acceleration, what's the power the car is giving us? Let's see. So we are at the moment here, come on, dismiss, about 50 kilometers, and let's accelerate to at least 80. Yeah. Plop. Here we go. That was 86 already. So, of course, not a explosion in acceleration, but still somewhat decent. And also sound-wise, didn't give us like this totally experience we have with some CVTs. So that might also be, in this one here is a turbo, and a lot of the other CVTs, for example in Toyotas and Lexus, they're coupled with naturally aspirated engines, and therefore they also need more RPM to get going finally. And here with the turbo, you have the support by the turbo, and then you don't need to max out those RPMs that much. What about acceleration when we are already at speed at about 80 kilometers? Let's do it out here on the motorway in Germany. The famous Autobahn. Yay! Interesting. That's 150. And 170 kilometers. So noise insulation is really good now at those higher speeds, like at 110 I saw it okay, that's somewhat average, but now when we are really much faster, I think the great wind efficiency plays a bigger effect. And now, considering also other segment vehicles at really high speed, this is very decently silent. Well done. So I think this, very good wind efficiency figure is playing a great role as for that. Of course, again, not a very explosive acceleration, but you could maybe pick it up on visually and also maybe from the sound that we had a couple of situations where we had those simulated gear shifts by the CVT. So indeed, if you're not an experienced car driver and you just use the automatic gearbox for the first time, maybe at some point you wouldn't even believe it's a CVT. So was quite skeptical about this program at first, but why not? So if it creates a better effect for the customers, a better feeling, why not? So very interesting, pretty cool as for that. But what do you think about that? Now of course we are a little bit higher in the fuel consumption because of this acceleration test. I will reset the consumption meter now once more to get that cleared off, basically. Now we also have a warm engine, maybe can score a little bit better consumption figure later on, but we also have some more agile countryside driving now when we get off the motorway. By the way, we have this new suspension in here. They reworked it, and there are two settings available: the normal one and the sporty one. The sporty one has this this watt link in the rear, so a special new link that's only for the sport suspension. And considering it's a sport suspension, it doesn't feel that rough or harsh, so that's fine with me. And the comfort or the suspension was also so far a very weak link of this Astra generation, if you can also compare it to the competitors. Now they remade this suspension is better than before, definitely. So I really feel it's a little bit more dynamic, especially with the sport setup here, but also more comfortable at the same time. So also good job in updating that. We do some lane changing here. It's a very good feeling for the car. So a very agile feeling. It's also a pretty light car. This is a lot of fun actually. Steering feeling wise. See, there's not too much of a dead zone, so you immediately get a feeling. It's not a supernatural feeling, but supernatural, not supernatural. Also now again at some higher speeds, and even at lane change at 150, car feels super much in control, and it's a lot of fun to do the lane change right there. So here in this case also the sport suspension gives me a little bit more feedback. Oh, that was like obstacle. There was some on the road. How did it get there? I have no idea. So a lot of fun also to control this car while we're driving a little bit faster. Hey, let's race some BMWs. Now also in this corner, this is really a lot of fun. So this becomes Nordschleife alike now. Yeah, only in Germany. That's why, when we're in Germany, we try to extend the motorway part a little bit, because when we're like in Spain or Portugal, we can drive only 1 kilometers on the motorway anyway, so we can also use the countryside roads. So again, starting today's motorway part with the famous German Autobahn. And of course important also for our German viewers, Opel has the most important market in Germany, so beste Grüße an alle unsere deutschen Zuschauer. A little bit of German lessons for today. And of course to them it's very important always that it also behaves very well on higher speeds, because we German, we drive 200 kilometers an hour like every day. Yeah, maybe not. Okay, I'm just exaggerating a little bit, just fueling this myth. Truth is, most of the time we stand in traffic anyway. So, but here today we also had traffic, but we had some possibilities to do that. So I'm really keen on this facelift. Last time again I drove the Astra, it was not a bad car at all. Was quite positive about, definitely, but even more positive now with the facelift changes they did here. To the wind efficiency, overall efficiency of the engine, and also how it's become a little bit more agile, and definitely suspension change. I would like to drive the normal suspension at one point to be able to compare it, but again, sometimes sport suspension, I would say, I'm not comfortable enough. Let go of them, especially like with BMW, the M Sports fixed sport suspension. They are like so rough. You really have to be like a rough sports car suspension fan. Other than that, it's nothing for the. This is the AEB, autonomous emergency brake. It was already warning me. Also well done here. But here I think I can recommend the sport suspension. At least here now on the motorway, giving me more stability. When we get onto the countryside, it will be even more interesting how that one plays out. When we have a little bit more bumps in the road, for example. So that will be very cool to see. So we set the systems here again. Yeah, this rubber interface here, this knob, this could be done better, because you might use that so often than here with the ACC. I think that's better if they found a better solution as for that. So what I'm also interested in, when I see the GPS and want to zoom in, okay, so when I do it like this, does it stay centered or does it stay fixed? It still runs, right? Yeah. So that's nice, because then you don't have to focus again the car. Yeah, that's a good solution. And that I could also do like this plus and minus here. That would be a different solution. So really good that they update the infotainment system. So it's really astonishing, you know. So often we have then the facelifts which changed visually, like just the front, and that's it. And then I say like, yeah, it doesn't really matter if you have the facelift or the non-facelift. But here in this case, you know, we have really a lot of features where you could say this might really be worth upgrading it, you know. Fuel is at the moment a little bit higher because we had some, I mean, we didn't have some like major accelerations, but we had higher speeds definitely. So at the moment we are about 7.5 liters or more, at least on this. Or is this the overall? Yeah, 7.5 at the moment, or 7.6. So, yeah, I mean, those small engines definitely laid out not for the really high speed areas. Also, as for the efficiency, they always have the best efficiency point between 80 and 100 kilometers an hour. So very interesting impressions here from the motorway. We have a couple of time left until we get off. Next thing we want to show you is, you know, really putting it to the countryside corners. Yay! Countryside driving the new Opel Astra Facelift, and good feeling here in the steering wheel. And we're going up the hill. So how does the CVT perform here? Here again, lane change. It's a lot of fun, especially with the sport suspension. So really nice steering and suspension setup. The car feels very agile, very nice, very well in control. They also have better brake feeling now because it's an electric support of the brakes, not by vacuum from the engine. That is also a little bit more efficient. Warning for the cyclists here. Really cool. And yeah, the sound that the CVT creates in together with this engine is actually quite fine. So it is actually one of the best sounding CVTs we've been driving so far. Next right corner here. And you have to remember, this is a normal compact segment vehicle. It's nothing special. Yeah, we have the sport suspension here, which makes it a little bit more agile. But this is a approachable car as for the price you pay. So a lot of vehicles which are like super expensive, and then they also perform very well. But that's, I think it's not so special than having a car which you can actually still pay for, even if you're not rich, and it still performs very well. Now, of course, we pick a little bit up, more RPMs up, but that's totally fine. Also drive a little bit faster now, push a little bit more. So the Jonas also wakes up from his morning sleep here. Yeah, I think it's still fine, you know. So of course it's not like a V8 sound or something, but totally fine. And again, low noise level here, so between just over 80 kilometers an hour, and it's really a lot of fun to drive this car up the hill here. So I'm really surprised how they made this car even a little bit better here with a facelift in many different small aspects. Really a very good drive. So, and considering the price performance then of this car, yeah, I think this facelift is really worth going for. Also the GPS led us very well here. Jones also found it pretty cool because he's an Android user and this GPS is really Android alike. But you know, me as an Apple user, I found it also pretty cool. And beautiful roads here up the Taunus region, up the Feldberg. So, was a very nice ride here with the Astra Facelift. I'm pretty convinced. And now to our conclusion for today with the Opel Astra Facelift, or the Vauxhall Astra, again for our friends in the UK. So they haven't changed too much visually, but they also asked the customers if they wanted that, and actually they said no in their surveys. So they said, well, you know, why should we change something majorly? Yes, a little bit of the front grille then, of course. Still, with the Matrix LED headlamp, quite unique in this segment. Interior also quite well processed, here and there maybe a little bit more tweaks, but overall great to have the new infotainment system, easy to use, better software overall, pretty fast now, especially here in this high trim 8-inch spec, so I can really recommend that. Definitely adds more to the driving as well, because you control it better while driving. And the driving itself, It's really more agile and comfortable at the same time. So it was a very convincing driving episode in different conditions. We had this car here today. Pretty cool. I also really like the CVT automatic gearbox. Maybe this one in combination with the bigger engines, also a little bit higher in consumption than about 6-7 liters or 1 kilometers at least than the smaller petrol engine, which was also developed in Germany. But still, I think it's a decent combination. Yeah, it's not a compact vehicle where you have super high figures as for the horsepower output, but for most customers this will be totally sufficient as for the power. And again, the CVT is also a very comfortable solution. You still have the manual gearbox as a possibility. Yes, also very famous here for motorbikes. This very beautiful roads here. So overall, a very convincing presentation from this car here. Yeah, and about the price. I mean, it still starts just a little bit below 20k euros in Germany, and that's of course a pretty cool price. And for like 30k, you can get a very, very decent spec for that. So the price performance is still something where this car is really, up to date and really cool. Also, if you compare it to the competitors, it's maybe not the most striking car as for the emotional appeal, but again, it drives very well and had a lot of fun driving it, both on the motorway high speeds and also up those winding corners. And again, I can just remind that it has a very good price performance character. So I think this one is still a quite good hit here in the compact segment. What's your take on that? Please leave me in the comments, and also tune into more Autogefühl episodes. Subscribe if you haven't done so far. See you next time.